In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 foods that I no longer consume on the carnivore diet. Now before we begin, let me put in a quick disclaimer. All of these foods are still significantly better to consume than plants. And if it's the only carnivore food you have access to, or you're on a budget, they're completely fine to eat. You can still eat all the foods I talk about in this video and be successful on the carnivore diet. However, in my opinion, I do think you'll feel better removing these things, even if it's just a small energy increase. Let's get into the first one, which is beef jerky / biltong. Now to be clear, if you can find a brand of beef jerky that's only beef and salt, it is completely fine to eat. That is a great snack. However, for 90% of jerky brands, this is not the case. Seriously, look at the ingredients of some of your favorite brands. It's barely even meat half the time. Many of the ingredients in these things are literally numbers. You'd think you're making a good carnivore choice, but in reality it's not the case. Not to mention that they soyify most of them. A lot of jerky is teriyaki flavored, and teriyaki sauce is often made from soy. Now soy is terrible. It's very high in something known as phytoestrogens, which completely throw our hormones out of whack. It seriously messes with people's mood. It's not something you want to be consuming. So be careful when you're buying the stuff. I recently invested in a beef dehydrator so I can make my own beef jerky. I'll make a video demonstrating exactly how I make it in the near future. The second carnivore food I no longer consume is bacon. And before you attack me down in the comments below, please believe me when I say that I love bacon as much as you do. And like I said at the start, you can still have bacon and still do amazing on the carnivore diet. However, I do see a few issues with bacon. The first is that like beef jerky, it's often barely even meat. Genuinely, go down to your fridge now and have a look at the bacon that's in it. The chances are if you just grabbed a random bacon from the supermarket, it's only going to be like 70% pork. Now this kind of baffles me. How on earth did I make bacon where 30% of it isn't even pork? If we put the serious harm that this is causing to humanity to one side for a moment, it almost impresses me how they can do this without the average person noticing. Now, even if you can find a bacon that's only pork, there are still a number of other issues. The first being is that it's a monogastric animal, which 99.9% of the time is fed an improper diet. Pigs that are kept for farming are fed pellets. Now, the ingredients in these pellets are incredibly toxic. Seed oils, corn, soy, chemical XYZ. Seriously, when you see the ingredients of these pellets, it's almost incomparable. Think about the ultra-processed garbage that they get humans to eat, and then imagine humans with pigs. It's exactly as you'd expect it to be. And like I said, pigs are monogastric animals, which means they only have one stomach, which means it's not equipped to break down the stuff that they're fed. So what ends up happening is their flesh, in a sense I guess you could say, is contaminated. It makes it very high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, in particular linoleic acid, which seems highly problematic to humans. And it's also just a dirty animal in general. Like, pigs literally eat their own feces. And like I said, their digestive system isn't very complex, so this is really not ideal. Now, if you can find some real pasture-raised bacon, it's probably not too bad, if you can get past the feces part, that is. The third carnivore food I'm no longer consuming is salmon. Now, salmon has the exact same problem with pigs. They're a monogastric animal that's fed a species inappropriate diet. Now again, this is painful for me to say because I do love the taste of salmon. Now wild salmon is completely fine. However, in many parts of the world it's incredibly hard to source. My only concern with wild salmon is that because it comes from the oceans, which are very polluted, it could contain microplastics. What's crazy is that for some of the farmed salmon nowadays, they literally have to add a dye to the flesh after it's dead. Salmon's flesh is orange due to something called astaxanthin. However, the food that they give to wild salmon is often so nutritionally void that they cannot even develop this orange flesh. So for farmed salmon, they either have to add colour to it afterwards, or they have to add astaxanthin in the form of supplementation to their feed, which often comes from a synthetic source. So yeah, be careful with your salmon. The next carnivore food I no longer consume is butter. And I have sought it in the title because it's not like I'm actively trying to not have butter. However, I just think that there are vastly better options. Now, why is this? Firstly, humans have not consumed dairy on a consistent basis up until about 12,000 years ago. Sure, in the past, maybe if we killed a wild cow, we'd drink its milk after it's dead. However, we only started farming 12,000 years ago, after the Ice Age ended, so we would not have had consistent access to dairy until then. So just from a purely logical perspective, if we haven't consumed dairy for an extended period of time, it could present some issues. I see a lot of people talk about how wonderful butter is because it's high in certain nutrients, and to me this argument just doesn't make sense, because plants are also high in nutrients, but we know they come with downsides. When dairy is pasteurized, meaning they heat it to very high temperatures in order to keep it shelf stable, it messes with some of the molecules in there which become inflammatory to us. I'm also not convinced that a species is designed to consume dairy from another species. Now, I don't think butter's the worst thing in the world, and I'm not a full-blown butter hater. However, I just think that beef tallow is superior in nearly every aspect. Now, butter is definitely the least bad item on this list. However, if you have access to tallow, I would highly recommend you use that. Hey guys, it's me again. I wanted to let you all know that I've written an ebook, which is a complete beginner's guide on the carnivore diet. It's only 17 pages long and it covers everything you need to know. So whether you're a seasoned carnivore who wants to refresh their knowledge or a beginner who's looking for somewhere to get started, this one's for you. All you have to do is head down to the description of this video, click the top link, and I'll send it to you for free. And on top of that, I'll send you a couple emails each week with some bonus tips I have regarding the carnivore diet. There's no catch. It's literally all for free. So go down to the description to claim your free copy now. The fifth and final carnivore food that I'm no longer consuming is milk. Now obviously milk is dairy, so it presents all of the problems that I just talked about with butter. Because farming only started around 12,000 years ago, we had very little access to dairy. It's not like we could just walk up to a cow, use our nice manners and say, "Excuse me, may I please have a glass of milk?" The pasteurization process also seems to seriously affect milk. For me personally, every time I have a significant amount of milk, my skin just breaks out. When I'm on the lion diet and not having any dairy, my skin is absolutely flawless. And as soon as I add a little bit of dairy back in, my skin breaks out. Milk is also full of different hormones made by a cow for its infant to develop properly. So for that reason, I can't imagine the hormone mixture in the milk is going to optimize my health. Anyways, that concludes today's video. What I discussed in this video is entirely my opinion. For some people, your carnivore diet may actually work better if you do include these things. Just because I'm not having them in mine doesn't mean they're not a good addition to yours. The framework that I use to decide if something's good for me or not is to ask myself, have humans consumed this for an extended period of time? If the answer is yes, then I think it's good for us. And if the answer is no, I don't think it's good for us. It seems to be like this for every species. As long as they eat their species appropriate diet, they seem to do very well. And to me, I just don't think that humans are designed to eat these rubbish chemical ingredients, flesh from animals that have been fed an improper diet, and dairy from another animal that's designed for that animal to consume. Now you're very welcome to disagree with me on anything I've said in this video. In fact, I'd love to know your opinion. So if there's something you want to add, leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my content, consider subscribing down below. It's completely free and it means you'll see more videos like this. Also, I want to thank you all for the incredible support recently. It's been amazing. I greatly appreciate reading all of your comments and I try my absolute best to respond to them all. However, it is becoming increasingly difficult. Now, YouTube does reckon that you personally will like this video of mine. So if they've got it right, click that video. See you next time.